Dr. Juli Parker, director of the Women's Resource Center and professor of Women's Studies at UMass Dartmouth, has released a new book titled Representations of Murderous Women in Literature, Theater, Film, and Television. In an interview with Speak Up, It's Your Right, Dr. Parker talks about the book, which is a collection of essays written by people from all over the world.
Basically, the premise of the book is that, the way that women have been represented as murderesses still has a patriarchal bent to it. That even women, and these are not all true life women, some of them are based, fictional women, and some of them are based on true story kind of women. But that the basic gist is that women still get a bad rap even in the judicial system, even when they are guilty, So, take for example Eileen Wuornos, who's the famous, what they called the first female serial killer, who was the prostitute in Florida that the movie Monster was based on. The movie, for example, portrays her as some crazy, wild woman who really was a serial killer murderer. And all of the evidence, the real kind of court trial and all of that stuff, shows us that she was diagnosed with a mental illness, and if you are mentally ill, you're not supposed to be put to death. There's certain laws and rules we have in place around capital punishment to protect people who are sick. And she was sick, and that was never brought into her court case. She's been represented as this kind of crazy serial killer, but I think the justice system really screwed her. And she never should have been put to death. And she was never given a fair trial.
Dr. Parker argues that most women who murder their intimate partners. But why? Why is this the case?
The thing about women murdering their intimate partners is they're often murdering their intimate partners because they've been abused in some way. So oftentimes in these situations, the women's experiences of rape or, sexual violence or domestic violence never brought into court as well. So it's just interesting, I think, in this day and age, you would think that, there would be a fair court system.
After researching the stories of the real women who murdered, Dr. Parker concluded that men were favored in court cases.
It was really evident to me that, that they really just favored the men. There's this one situation on the play Mackinac is about a couple, a man and a woman who were having an affair. And, they just were like, oh, the poor man, that wily woman brought him down, he ended up also, getting executed, but it was just the attitude toward him was like it was her fault that she had ensnared him into this affair,
Dr. Parker's book was released in November and can now be purchased. It incorporates a wide selection of chapters that explore famous TV shows, from Dexter to The Wire, as well as movies such as Friday the 13th, plays, and literary works. It is not a surprise that an entire chapter is dedicated to Lizzie Borden, who presumably murdered her family on August 4th, 1892, here in Massachusetts, just an hour south of Boston.